Kelly, how big is pot? High time it has its own Shark Tank show.
I knew this show was coming.
It's the show that gives entrepreneurs a shot at making their dreams come true. But what about ganjapreneurs?
The name of our dispensary is Freedom Market, and we have 2 recreational dispensaries and 2 medical dispensaries. We opened the first day you could open, July 8th, 2014. Just rocking and rolling since. My partner of 10 years and I own it along with her daughter. We're a very unique shop, huge selection, great bud tenders that we continually make sure they're educated. They're always looking up strains on Leafly. It's huge. There's new things, new products coming out all of the time.
All the things that we have to be able to operate like we are is because we've got great people in place. We have a great team.
We're not like any other place. When someone comes in, the first thing they want to see is a smile. So every time a customer comes in and I ask them, what are you into? What do you got going on today? And you get to feel what they want and what they like. If you're going fishing, I'm gonna hook you up with probably a hybrid because you need a little energy to get yourself out there. But then at the same time, you're chilling. You're just gonna be fishing, so kick back with a little bit of the indica side. So when someone walks into me and says, man, I got so much to do today. I gotta go to a wedding. I gotta go to my granddaughter's thing, this and that. You need a sativa, 100%. And I know that, and so do the rest of our bud tenders. I see people coming in every day who have been hooked on opiates for over 10 years strong. With CBD and THC and all of that combined, they are able to pull themselves out of it and slow it down, if not quit completely. And that, to me, is huge. And so, like, when it comes to epilepsy, cancer, leukemia, all the kinds of cancers, CBD is so unbelievably helpful.
And we had a couple of patients, that all of their cancer treatment was marijuana and they were doing better. And from then, we just flew with it. It's been amazing. I've gone to a couple of the doctors in town and spoke with them just one-on-one and said, come check out our shop. And we now have a couple of doctors in town at some of the major places that prescribe medical cards. It's been really, really great. What you really want to make sure you do when you open a dispensary is become friends with the growers. Go and tour the grow facilities, tour them, make friends with them so they're on your side as well. Do a lot of research. I remember when we first started, I sat on my phone till 4 o'clock every morning researching on every possible avenue. If you do work with family, working with family is awesome. Just hire a great team of people.
come to the Freedom Market.
My company name is Hawaiian Cannabis Consulting. I got in the industry about 5 years ago. I helped start one of the first dispensaries in California that was vertically integrated. I had everything lab tested and have it delivered. It was based out of Santa Cruz, California. And ran that for a couple of years and then went into commercial cultivation, started supplying the dispensaries around that area. I grew up in Hawaii. It's my home, it's where my friends are, it's where I want to live. So I moved back. It was during the time when the medical marijuana bill in Hawaii was being passed. I followed the legislation from the time it started in September all the way to the time the bill was passed. During that time, I met a lot of great people and started the company. Hawaii is known for its cannabis and its beautiful growing environment. So yeah, I think it's an excellent opportunity. So it has been an emotional roller coaster, to say the least. The stress, I take it day by day. We just had a mishap a couple of weeks ago. The Supreme Court issued an official opinion stating that any lawyer in the state of Hawaii cannot work with any medical marijuana company who is represented, which means that our lawyer dropped us. We went right in the middle of us creating our entity and getting the articles of incorporation and together and all the stockholder information set up and operating agreements and everything. So we've been having to tread water by doing it ourselves. We need money in a bank very, very soon. And that's as part of the application process, $1.2 million. So that's the biggest key, and that's a milestone that we have to meet very, very quickly.
Scott, you want to come?
Hawaiian Cannabis Consulting can solve any problem that the cannabis industry runs into, whether you're a cultivator, a dispenser, or a processor.
Okay. I felt like I was a little bit at a lecture.
Too much.
What I want is a little more passion.
Okay.
And you're the problem solver. And maybe instead of your hands here, maybe you could use your hands a little more.
Okay.
And you're coming in to solve this as you're telling us what it is.
Gotcha.
Try that one. Can we do it again? Yeah, there you go.
Being around other
There you go.
entrepreneurs and
Okay.
talking to them and saying your pitch over and over obviously gets you more fine-tuned and gets you clear as far as what you want to accomplish in your pitch. So it's been great, yeah. So my name is Scott. Let's try again.
Are you sure it's Scott?
Yeah. A lot is at stake. We put a lot of time and effort into the application process to get a dispensary license, and it takes a lot of capital, it takes a lot of connections, and with that said, there's a lot of energy that goes along with it, but if you don't get a license, you don't get anything out of it. So at the end of the day, it could be just a good experience. My name is Scott Williams. I'm with Hawaiian Cannabis Consulting. I represent a group of individuals in this island of Oahu that are looking for capitalization and representation to apply for a license in the state of Hawaii. They are looking for 15% equity in return for $1.3 million investment. That $1.3 million will go for 1.2 of equity or of capitalization in a bank 90 days prior to the application, and $100,000 for a production facility that we have received under a letter of intent. Picture the state of Hawaii. It's a beautiful place. Beaches, right? Beautiful women, beautiful men. Being in Hawaii and a medical patient, being able to grow for the last 14 years, but not being able to walk up to a dispensary and get their proper medication. It's an issue that we've had for many years, so it's a compassion bill. The state of Hawaii has been trying to pass this bill for many, many years, and finally they were able to get bipartisan from both the Republicans and the Democrats to sign on to a bill and to allow them to pass and start dispensing medication in the state of Hawaii. Now, this license is good for 9 years. It is good until the year of 2025. And with that said, it is a vertically integrated license. It allows for 2 production facilities as well as 2 dispensary storefronts. This group in island of Oahu have already secured letters of intent for those storefronts, as well as the finalization of a letter of intent for the production facility. Investors, which one of you would like to join us in the future in maintaining a viable, sustaining industry in the state of Hawaii?
Let me start by asking how many licenses are going to be granted in the entire state?
There's 8 licenses across the state, 3 on Oahu, 2 on the Big Island, two on Maui and one on Kauai.
Where are those locations?
So the two storefronts, one is in downtown Waikiki. It's on Kuhio Avenue. It's a great location right at right on the corner store. So there's streets on both sides. It's a very highly populated area. So we have a letter of intent for that storefront. We also have a storefront in Kailua. He's been in that location for over 20 years. So the lease with the landlord is almost negligible.
Okay, and then finally tell us about the cultivation site.
Yeah, it's a great cultivation site. It's over 2 acres. It's got a 17,000 square foot warehouse facility. It has its own power station. It was built back in the 80s. It used to host sumo wrestling back in the day, if you can even think.
That's cool.
We are already in talks with a group in Hawaii, and we've been discussing that internally, but that's not of interest to me.
I'm a pass.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, we're looking at 1.3 million, 15%, and we could call it Starbuds.
That is definitely an option. Yeah, as far as the name goes, we're open. You know, we're not necessarily locked in a name. We understand that you guys would like to, you know, bring your brand, you know, on a national standpoint, and we're open for that.
I mean, he could choose Starbuds, but why would he when he could have you Flora?
You know, with all due respect, Starbuds is the industry leader of Colorado, and I think Starbuds Hawaii is just the most catchy name you could come up with.
Sounds pretty good.
Oh, no. Just 1 second.
So, Jamie, are you interested in making an offer then? I
absolutely am going to make him an offer.
You're going to make Scott an offer?
I'm going to make Scott an offer right now. I'll give you $1.3 million for 15%. But then I want to be able to get the extra difference to the 49%. I want to be...
You want to have skin in the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I'll give you we'll go through the funding, we'll fund that. But can you commit to that now?
I think I can authorize something of that nature.
Before you answer, Jamie, let me chime in here, because I think what I bring to the table and what my brand brings to the table is valuable enough, and I think you got to think really hard about that.
Okay, that makes sense. From an additional standpoint of the brand marketing and recognition.
Brand, my experience in the industry, my experience drafting applications, which you said that you need help with.
Wow.
We have a deal?
Yeah, we do.
All right.
Woo! Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Why? Can't wait.
Things aren't exactly what they seem, because days later, Ryan changed the terms to 20% equity. Well, Scott needs the money in the bank in days or it's all over for him, so he might have to accept that deal. So you may be wondering, who are these two investors interested in giving Scott $1.3 million? And what do they do to make that much money, right?
Ione Flora. It's actually a recreational marijuana store in the state of Colorado. I'm from Wyoming. I was born and raised in Wyoming. Yeah, it's hard to believe I never would have guessed in my wildest dreams that I'd be here.
Is your family here? Or?
Nope, they're still in Wyoming.
What do they think about all this?
My mom works for the sheriff's office in Wyoming.
Oh.
And my sister's married to a sheriff in Montana. But it's been a long time trying to convince them that it's legal in Colorado and to accept it. And
right.
I've done a lot of educating with them, and now at least when we sit around the table at Thanksgiving and Christmas, it's not something we can't talk about.
Okay, so they've kind of come around and they're supportive.
They are. They're getting better about it now, finally. And I think they look at it from an entrepreneurial standpoint, you know, like starting your own business. It doesn't matter if it's marijuana or a bookstore. I mean, it's still the same amount of work.
So what are you looking forward to about being an investor?
You know, it's really exciting. There's some great concepts out there, some really great ideas, and I like that people are thinking outside the box, and you know, everybody wants in this industry.
So that's kind of cool. You get to help people make their dreams come true.
Absolutely. I mean, people have helped me along the way in the past 3 years, so I'm excited to help. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Even though sometimes I work 18-hour days, sometimes the phone rings in the middle of the night because there's an alarm going off somewhere. at the end of it all, you think of what really this means to the people and be at the grassroots. Not only here in Colorado, but we are at the grassroots of a movement across the US and across the entire world, honestly. So keep that passion alive and just keep persevering. And when people tell you can't, my motto is, I can, I will, and I'll show you even a better way to do it. So stick with that and you'll be successful.
I'm here with one of our sponsors, Starbuds in Westminster, which is a part of Denver, Colorado. And this is one of their newest dispensaries. So why don't you come in with me and let's have a look.
My name is Patrick. I'm a bud tender here at Starbuds. Starbuds is the best dispensary because we offer the best buds at the best prices. We have the best customer service. You come in, you feel welcome. It's been great working here. Great company to work for. I'm really happy here.
I'm Brian Rudin. You could say I'm a pot pioneer. I've been in since the early days.
So you own a business that's based here in Colorado, right?
I do, Starbuds. I have a lot of business experience, and I'm a very logical, analytical type person.
Sure.
You know, I don't get caught up in hype, and I look at a business for what it is.
Right.
And I get attracted to investing a business for what it could become, but I invest based on what it is. If you keep trying something and it's not working, you've got to reevaluate. You've got to sometimes make hard decisions. You guys have heard a lot about the successful businesses that I own, but what you haven't heard is I have tried to open dozen stores that failed. While I have the attitude I will do whatever it takes to succeed in business, you've also got to be smart enough to know, okay, this isn't going to work. We got to make a change and go in a new direction. So you've got to work smart and hard, and I just want to wish everybody here the best of luck. I know you've all worked very, very hard to be here, and I can't wait to work with you and help you in your business.
We are one step closer to having medical marijuana right here in our state. Regulations were finalized and posted earlier this month, and now the commission is set to take on applicants.
I retired from NASA after 39 years, and I have been loving retirement. I love quilting. I love lunching with my friends and going to water aerobics and a little travel here and there, and I am not bored. And I love helping my church and do work for them. So when my son and my nephew started talking to me about this, my first thought was, well, okay, this is a good thing. This is really a good thing. I had to really look at some of the science, and you know, NASA's all about science. So as I got more involved in this, I understood this is about science and people also. That's what it's about, and it's really time. So I went from someone who knew very little about it, didn't like it, it was illegal, we were taught that it was bad. If someone smoked it, they got arrested, and who knew that, I mean, I sort of knew about these edibles where people would make brownies and stuff, but I thought mostly just people smoked it.
Scott introduced us to his friend Sharon, who wants to grow and sell cannabis in Baltimore. But here's the deal. She needs $100,000 to hire someone to help her write a 150-page application. It's very complicated stuff. So Brian offered to give her the money for 5% equity. And then, with 2 weeks left, changed the terms and said he wanted 20% equity. Well, Sharon wouldn't be able to get the license without the money, but she can't give Brian the 20%. So what is she gonna do?
We are praying for every day that the call for applications gets delayed a little bit. I can't imagine getting another partner in place who would be willing to do our application at this point. So Scott, you've been in this business a whole lot longer than me. What do you think happened with Brian when we talked to him yesterday?
Honestly, I think he spoke with his partner and they reevaluated the situation, and they felt that 5% wasn't enough and that they wanted 20%, you know, that they thought that what they were bringing to the table was worth that.
But we need them. They don't need us. I mean, obviously if we do well, they'll make more money, but but they don't really need us. So, but they turned on a dime when we told them that we were shopping and talking to Canna advisors and some other folks like that, and all of a sudden it got turned off. I'm just hoping this isn't the only deal we can do. We've only got weeks left. This is kind of the most stressful I've been since I started this, other than occasionally having a little, oh my God, what am I doing kind of moment. It was the momentum of having Brian being willing to invest in me and in what we're proposing. You know, we talked to him 3 or 4 times, 5 or 6 times over this past month and a half, and talked about what a great team we put together. I really couldn't believe my ears. In total shock, total shock at the change in the deal. And I felt like sort of saying, Brian, what do you mean? That's not what you said before. When we started this venture, it was interesting because we were still sitting in rooms and whispering and not letting people know what we were talking about because it felt like something bad because it's been illegal for so long. And it came at the same time I was being asked to sit as a church council member. And so one of the things I did was consult my pastor, and you know, on the basis that it's medicine we need and it's legal, he had no issues. One of the things I said to him as we were getting started is, you know, this is really up to God. I'm going to go through the motions of what I believe is needed to put together a business plan and an application, and really the rest is up to God.
The applications for licenses to run a dispensary or to be a grower or processor have officially been posted. It's a huge step for the Maryland Medical Cannabis Commission. The Maryland Medical Cannabis Commission will award up to 15 growers licenses and 2 dispensary licenses per senatorial district.
Do you think we're out of options? I mean, it's so close to deadline.
No, I think there are other options. There's definitely other options at play. You know, there's other strategic partners out there that aren't involved in Maryland yet.
Yeah, but do we have time?
So with the application deadline being so close, yeah, you got to make a decision really quickly.
So what about Wendy? You think Wendy can help us with this?
Sure, yeah.
She keeps mentioning that company in Florida. Do you know much about them?
I do, yeah. So let's call her, get her on the phone.
Okay.
Let's talk about you know, getting Jamie on the phone and seeing, you know, if that's something that's a viable option. You know, we have to do the same for Oahu. And it should be a quick process. You know, 24, 48 hours. These guys are pretty quick. They mean business. They know what's going on. And they know that it's a deadline coming up and that they have to put all their time into it. So, you know, granted, you don't have anything yet. So, you know, it's nerve-wracking to say the least.
Like the deal is not going as well as you planned with the other group out of Colorado.
Right. At this point, well, you know, you've been in the business, and I've had to give away a little bit more equity than I wanted to just to get the right kind of people at the table. So at this point, I was really hoping to find somebody who would be willing to do the application for us for 5%.
I think you've got a great team put together, so I was able to talk with my team here in Colorado, and we would like to offer you the 5% to do the application with the option in the future to have some available equity, buy into it, into the additional amount that you have left, providing funding to you as well.
Wow. Okay. All right. And how about that Wendy and the marijuana show? She is so cool. We wouldn't have even met if she hadn't introduced us.
That's right. She's changing people's lives, mine, yours, and hundreds of other people that want to be on the show or that have been already and are expanding their dreams, their businesses in the industry. So it's fabulous. Excited to be a part of it.
Kate, the numbers are staggering beyond anyone's expectations. More than 1,000 applications have come in, and many of them are from out of state.
Today we're waiting to get the receipt that our package arrived at the Maryland Medical Cannabis Commission, and my son keeps calling from my house saying, okay, I talked to the driver and he's now on Route 97, or I talked to the driver and there's absolute bedlam, so he went down there to make sure all the couriers who were working for him that day got their packages delivered. And we've been talking to this courier for 2 weeks because we knew they would be inundated. So this courier said, I personally took your package in and made sure it was delivered. And he's been calling my son and saying, I'm on the way back. And so we're still waiting for that. So he said there was one lady there whose application didn't get in?
He said there was a lady he had to tell, sorry, she didn't get it in time.
Oh, so they were couriering her package and they didn't get it?
No, she didn't get it to them in time to get it there in time.
It would be a nightmare. It would be so extremely disappointing. I can't even tell you how much to have put the work we put into it and then not even get an opportunity, so you want to assume that they're going to stay late and accept everyone that comes in before midnight, but you don't know. So it's been a little bit of anxiety today, and this is one of the things that helps me relax a little bit and supports our veterans.
I got the receipt.
Woohoo!
In the living room.
Okay.
Get the picture of it out there.
You gonna send me a picture of it?
I already did.
The state received 1,081 applications, 811 for dispenser licenses.
I'm really excited to say that we'd love to be a part of the Baltimore application process, so I'm absolutely willing to finance you the $1.3 million for the application process, and once we get the license, we'll be happy to fund you up to $5 million for the build out of the facilities. Scott, I would like to offer you the $1.3 million for the application process, and my business partners and I are excited to tell you we will offer you up to $5 million for financing on the rest of the project when you get the license.
It's been great. I think we've put together a solid deal, and I'm flabbergasted. I want to thank Wendy and Karen for this opportunity to be on the show. I feel very humbled and grateful and blessed, and I can't wait to move in this path of success. Hashtag MJ Reality Show.
And did you know in 1619 there was a law that ordered all of the farmers to grow cannabis hemp? It was even legal tender, they could pay their taxes in America for over 200 years. Back in 1763, you would be put in jail if you didn't grow your cannabis hemp for the government. Some would even risk their lives so that they could live the American dream. Establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Some would even risk their lives so that they could live the American dream. Some would even risk their lives so that we could live the American dream. Some would even risk their lives we could live, so that we could live the American